and welcome, to the morning dive. It's Thursday, January 27th. This is the home edition. Sorry, I'm running a little bit late this morning. Had to play Uber. But anyway, yes, I have my Lions shirt on in honor of Matthew Stafford still being in the playoffs, as we'll cheer him on and hope that he can get something that he wasn't going to get with Detroit. So there you go. Hope you guys are having a great week. It's Thursday. So Thursday, look forward to the weekend. And looking forward to the weekend. Make plans to be in worship. If you're feeling up for it, by all means, we'd love to have you 9 and 10:30 at KCC if you're in our area. If you are still a little leery of the whole COVID thing and not feeling well, it's all right. You can live stream with us. I'm truly using a laptop today, if you know what I mean. And coming up this Sunday, we have men's prayer breakfast. And so all the guys at church are invited. It's a fifth Sunday, and it's at 7:45. And Bratton, his crew, will make us up a good breakfast, and we'll have a devotional and prayer together before church starts. So we'd love to have everybody there for that, or all the guys there for that. Okay. So anyway, we're in Ezekiel chapter 15 today. I'm in the NLT. Ezekiel chapter 15 in the NLT. Move back. Nobody needs to see an extreme close-up of Andy, that is for sure. All right. I'm going to try not to cover up my speakers as I read this. All right. Then this message came to me from the Lord. All right. So again, this is Ezekiel, and God's been obviously telling him harsh punishment's going to come to false prophets. It's going to come to leaders that are worshiping idols instead of worshiping him. Then this message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, how does a grapevine compare to a tree? Is a vine's wood as useful as the wood of a tree? Can its wood be used for making things, like pegs to hang up pots and pans? No, it can only be used for fuel, and even as fuel it burns too quickly. Vines are useless, both before and after being put into the fire. And this is what the sovereign Lord says. The people of Jerusalem are like grapevines, growing among the trees of the forest. Since they are useless, I have thrown them on the fire to be burned, and I will see to it that if they escape from one fire, they will fall into another. When I turn against them, you will know that I am the Lord, and I will make the land desolate, because my people have been unfaithful to me. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. So you might ask the question, how have the people of Israel become useless to God? How are they useless? How are they like a vine and not even good enough for wood to be thrown in a fire? If you think back to the history of the Israelites, and God calling Abram and making a covenant with him and make you a great nation and all these descendants and everything. Remember that he told Abraham, through you, all nations will be blessed. All nations will be blessed. So through Abraham, there needs to be this core, this conduit, this hub, if you will, that all these nations are blessed. And if the hub, the core, is bad, how is it supposed to spread to the other nations so that they can be blessed? How are Gentiles, how are other nations supposed to understand how great and awesome and powerful God is if the very hub, the people that he started with, are not being who God has called them to be? They're not obeying him. God put laws into place, for his glory and his honor, but I would suggest that many of those laws are for their benefit. Don't have any other gods before me. Don't make any graven images. Those are for man's benefit, because none of those graven images, none of those other little g gods are real. They can't do anything. They can't satisfy anything. And all they do is lead you away from the one true living God. And so then you become this useless branch on a vine that's not letting people know the awesome power, sovereign, helping people understand who God is. And so they become useless. And so God says, they're useless. I'm going to throw them into the fire because they're not good for anything. I'm trying to bless all the world. I'm trying to get back to this place of Eden where I created everything and everything is perfect, and help them understand who I am and who I created them to be. And the very people that I chose to be the ones to disseminate this message are turning away from me. Like they're not doing what I set out to do. It's like having a messenger, and you give them the message, and all they do is take the message and they either crumple it up, throw away, and take somebody else's message and deliver it, or they don't deliver it at all, right? They've become useless. And so that's how I believe Israel's become useless. So chapter 16. Then another message, 15 was a short chapter. Ezekiel's not really known for overly short chapters. Ezekiel 16. Then another message came to me from the Lord. Son of man, confront Jerusalem with her detestable sins. Give her this message from the sovereign Lord. You are nothing but a Canaanite. Your father was an Amorite and your mother a Hittite. On the day you were born, no one cared about you. Your umbilical cord was not cut, and you were never washed, rubbed with salt, and wrapped in cloth. No one had the slightest interest in you. No one pitied you or cared for you. On the day you were born, you were unwanted, dumped in a field, and left to die. Right? So that's what he's saying about Jerusalem. This is who you were. You were useless when you were born. When you were initially there, nobody wanted you. You were so. This is a not the greatest pep talk in the world. That I would say, if you rate God's pep talks, that this would rate a very high one. And I probably wouldn't point to those verses and say this is how to parent your children. But he's God. He can do and say what he wants. And he's just stating the obvious. Listen, you were useless, you were unwanted, and you were left to die. But I came by and saw you there, helplessly kicking about in your own blood. As you lay there, I said, live, and I helped you to thrive like a plant in the field. You grew up and became a beautiful jewel. Your breast became full, and your body hair grew. But you were still naked. And when I passed by again, I saw that you were old enough for love. So I wrapped my cloak around you to cover your nakedness and declared my marriage vows. I made a covenant with you, says the sovereign Lord, and you became mine. So what does that paragraph sound like? Kind of sounds like Adam and Eve, doesn't it? Helplessly kicking about in your own blood. I said, live. Helped you thrive like a plant. You grew up, became a beautiful jewel. You matured. You're old enough to love. So I wrapped my cloak around you to cover your nakedness. It almost speaks to, I heard somebody, and I think I may have mentioned it on the dive. It's been several weeks ago now. But I heard somebody say that they thought the sin of Adam and Eve was not that they were never going to get to eat the fruit of knowledge of good and evil or the tree of life, but that they weren't ready for it yet. Like they hadn't matured yet enough to understand what it meant to eat of that fruit, of that tree. And so it was more a sin of restlessness or impatience. And these verses kind of speak to that in verses 6 through 8, because God said, I saw you and I said, live. And so you were coming to full maturity. And when you were able to handle it, when I saw that you were able to handle love, then I wrapped my love around you. And it kind of gives you that visual of the Garden of Eden, that God was ready to, when Adam and Eve had matured, ready to help them move to the next stage of what it means to live life in this world. But anyway, I don't know, we could argue that another day. But anyway, so we go back to this analogy that he's given, verses 6 through 8. He basically is like Israel or Jerusalem, when you were ready to mature, when you were ready to grow up, when you're ready to experience love and understand what it means to be in love, that's when I wrap my cloak around you. Meaning that there's a time when he knew Israel would be ready to love him, and that was with Abram. His dad was an idol worshiper, but Abram was ready to love God, and so God wrapped his love around him with his cloak, because he knew that Abram was mature enough to understand faith, was not perfect man, but was able to understand what it means to serve and to follow God. Those are some interesting verses, though. I made a covenant with you, says the sovereign Lord, and you became mine. So we know that the Israelites became God's because he called Abram and said, I'm going to make you a great nation. Okay. Then I bathed you and washed off your blood, and I rubbed fragrant oils into your skin. I gave you expensive clothing of fine linen. And if you read the story of Abram, he blessed him all kinds of flocks and just stuff. All right. And you can look to when they came out of Egypt, he made them favorable to the Egyptians, that as they were leaving, the Egyptians gave them all their jewelry and gold and all that kind of stuff. I gave you expensive clothing of fine linen and silk, beautifully embroidered, and sandals made of fine goatskin leather. I gave you lovely jewelry, bracelets, beautiful necklaces, a ring for your nose, earrings for your ears, and a lovely crown for your head. And so you were adorned with gold and silver. Your clothes were made of fine linen and costly fabric, and were beautifully embroidered. You ate the finest foods, choice flour, honey, and olive oil, and became more beautiful than ever. You looked like a queen, and so you were. Your fame soon spread throughout the world because of your beauty. I dressed you in my splendor and perfected your beauty, says the sovereign Lord. And so, excuse me, if you read through who Abram was, and Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and just even their wealth, and where God had taken them from and to. And then if you read Exodus, which we're probably getting close to in our Bible reading plan if you haven't already read through it with yours, we read about how wealthy the Israelites became. And then with David, they were very rich and very powerful, and with Solomon, very wealthy as well. And so that's what God did for them, right? That's how he blessed them. Verse 15, but you thought your fame and beauty were your own, so you gave yourself as a prostitute to every man who came along. Your beauty was theirs for the asking. I would relate this to when they went into the promised land, instead of pushing people out, instead of realizing that God had blessed them with what they had and that they should be following God, they took their own wealth and they said, okay, how can we use this on our own and use our own understanding? Any nation that came along and said, hey, we can help you make that more. We can help you in this land because the land you were coming from was different. We can help you, understand that. And so they started to partner with others. And God said that was like being like a prostitute. You used the lovely things I gave you to make shrines for idols where you played the prostitute. Unbelievable. How could such a thing ever happen? You took the very jewels and gold and silver ornaments I had given you and made statues of men and worshiped them. This is adultery against me. It's not just idolatry, it's adultery. You used the beautifully embroidered clothes I gave you to dress your idols. Then you used my special oil and my incense to worship them. Imagine it. You set before them as a sacrifice the choice flour, olive oil, and honey I had given you, says the sovereign Lord. Then you took your sons and daughters, the children you had borne to me, and sacrificed them to your gods. Was your prostitution not enough? Was it not enough that you turned away, but that you also would wipe out the next generation by offering them as sacrifices? But you must you also slaughter my children by sacrificing them to idols? In all your years of adultery and detestable sin, you have not once remembered the days long ago when you lay naked in a field, kicking about in your own blood. You forgot where you came from. You forgot where you came from. What sorrow awaits you, says the sovereign Lord. In addition to all your other wickedness, you built a pagan shrine and put altars to idols in every town square. On every street corner you defiled your beauty, offering your body to every passerby in an endless stream of prostitution. Then you added lustful Egypt to your lovers, provoking my anger with your increasing promiscuity. That is why I struck you with my fist and reduced your boundaries. I handed you over to your enemies, the Philistines, and even they were shocked by your lewd conduct. You have prostituted yourself with the Assyrians too. It seems you can never find enough new lovers. And after your prostitution there, you still were not satisfied. You added to your lovers by embracing Babylonia, the land of merchants, but you still weren't satisfied. What a sick heart you have, says the sovereign Lord, to do such things as these, acting like a shameless prostitute. You build your pagan shrines on every street corner and your altars to idols in every square. In fact, you have been worse than a prostitute, so eager for sin that you have not even demanded payment. Yes, you are an adulterous wife who takes in strangers instead of her own husband. Prostitutes charge for their services, but not you. You give gifts to your lovers, bribing them to come and have sex with you. So you are the opposite of other prostitutes. You pay your lovers instead of their paying you. So let's stop. Let's stop right there. Excuse me. For right now, and probably till Monday. So, what's God expressing to them? He's like, listen, I took you from infancy. No one wanted you, right? You weren't a nation yet. You weren't a people that had anything for other nations. You didn't have anything to offer other nations. Nobody wanted to partner with you. Nobody wanted to marry you. Nobody wanted to say, hey, let's do this thing together. Let's live life. Let's build a powerhouse. Nobody wanted to do that with you, except me. I saw you. I found you. I lifted you up. I saw when you were mature and ready. So when Abraham was ready, when he was ready to love me, when he was ready to have faith in me, I wrapped my cloak of love around him. And away we went. And what happened? I blessed him like crazy. Remember those 2 times that Abraham lied? What did he walk away with? All kinds of herds and all kinds of stuff, right? And so he was growing so much that he and Lot had to separate. They had so much stuff. He became a wealthy man. And God said, I did that for you. And then when the famine came to Egypt, I even took care of you then. You could have been wiped out with the famine that took place. But no, I had Joseph sold into slavery, one of my very own. And I had him in slavery, and then he was in prison, and then he raised up to be second in command of all of Egypt. So when you were starving, didn't have anything, well, you had riches because you tried to buy the food from him. But I send you there, and I gave you the most plush land of all. And then when you were in slavery, you could be upset with me about that, but the fact is, after the 400 years of you being in Egypt, I had you walk out and having plundered all of Egypt, a wealthy place. And then fast forward to the days of Saul and David and Solomon, and you were the powerhouse of the world. Anything that you wanted was at your disposal. You could take it by force if you wanted, or people were just giving it to Solomon during a time of peacetime. He's like, I did all this for you. And how do you repay me? You repay me by turning your allegiances away from me. You divide in two. You hate each other. You're making partnerships with other nations around you. You're intermarrying with nations. I told you not to do that because you would pursue those other idols. He said, here's the deal. You forgot where you came from. You forgot where you came from. I think the lesson's pretty obvious in these verses for you and I, is that when we give our lives to Christ, it often doesn't take long for us to forget where we came from and who we were before Christ. And we become this, what we think is a mature Christian. And if we're not careful, we start, pardon the terminology, prostituting ourselves to other idols and gods that the world has to offer. We start to forget that everything that we have is from God. Probably the best, I think, analogy, or the way that it hits home the most, you may not like it, but I think it is when it comes to giving and generosity. It is so easy to want to hoard and to hang on to the money that we work hard for, the stuff that we have. But the fact is, if we recognize that it's God's and not ours, we are much more ready to use it for His kingdom and for His honor and His glory, realizing that He's the one that gave us the job. He's the one that gave us the paycheck. He's the one that gave us a brain on our shoulders to not spend it this way and to get so far over our head we didn't know how to get out of it, but how to stick with Him and to be generous, and that you can't outgive Him, and that He would bless you with more if you were generous because He knew you could be the conduit for His stuff. Right? I think that's the closest analogy I have to how easy it is for us to sway our allegiance away from God, the God that created us and made us who we are, to start to sway away from Him because the world is just tossing all kinds of stuff at us. And it's just like the Israelites faced when they went in the Promised Land. And like the Israelites faced once they divided and had other nations that wanted to partner with them and stuff, the world wants to partner with us. Hey, let us take that wealth that you now have and let's put it to work in this way, and we can do some pretty awesome things. Wow, I see that you've accumulated some wealth. God's really done a good thing for you. Now let me show you this other God that can help you have fun with that stuff, that can help you understand it better, and how you could really enjoy life. And it's okay, God will understand, or you can keep 1 foot over there and 1 foot over there. And before you know it, we've forgotten where we've come from. We've forgotten who the God is that blessed us and cared for us, picked us up when we were down, and said, I purchased you with the blood of my Son. May we never forget where we come from. May we never forget our testimony. One of the best ways to not forget, one, is to write it down. Secondly, is to share it. The more often we share our testimony, the more we own our testimony, the more it just rolls off our tongue, and the more we're able to remember where we came from. We were dead in our sin, but God in His great love for us sent His Son to die for us so we could have eternal life. May we never forget where we came from. May this chapter 15, and I think it was 15 and 16, half of 16, may it serve as a reminder to you and I that when we were ready for love, when we were ready to love God, he wrapped Jesus around us. And he's blessed us. He's watched over us. He's cared for us. And there are other nations, if you will, gods, little g gods, idols, namely the world, that are trying to tempt us away with everything that God has blessed us with, tempt us to use it with them and for them as opposed to God's glory. And if we don't remember where we came from, there's a good chance that'll happen. So let's not let's not forget where we came from. Let's always remember who we were before Christ and who we are in Christ. Father, thank you for this morning, and Lord, I pray for a good day for everybody out there listening, a safe day, and we love you. We thank you for your grace and your mercy that wrapped Jesus around us and that you purchased us with his blood. And Father, may we always be ready to share with others who you are and what you've done for us. And may we never forget where we came from. Never forget what you did for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, thanks for hanging out this morning. Who we got on today? Yvonne, good morning to you. And hey, Karen, how are you this morning? I think you're my neighbor now, Karen. Jeanette, good morning to you. Rick, good morning. Mom, good morning to you. Hope everybody has a great day. Whoops, there's some other ones up top. Jerry, good morning to you. Gail, good morning. Judy, good morning. Sherry, good morning. Shirley, good morning. Cheryl, good morning. Good morning, divers. I like that. Debbie, good morning to you. Lori, good morning. And Yvonne, good morning to you. Found some others I didn't think were on there. Hey, I hope you guys have a great day. I love you. Hey, tomorrow's question and answer day. So any questions that you have, if you want to get them to me ahead of time, Andy@kccwired.com. You could email me there or private message me to get the conversation going. All right, we'll see you in the morning.